Good morning. Very warm welcome to everyone on this beautiful day. Good job, Jesus. Good job. I'll take some more of those. I am not, by any stretch of the imagination, a golfer, but I do like to go out and hit like a bucket of balls from time to time. I know I look like an old man with my cigar hanging out of my mouth, you know. I should probably go to the park and feed the pigeons during the day, but I love golf, and for no other reason, I think those of you that play it, I think would agree that it's really far more of a mental game than it is a physical game. Same reason I love chess. I love chess because you're kind of fighting with your mind, right? And I think all of us have kind of seen people that have lost it on the golf course. They start throwing their clubs and having a big temper tantrum, right? To which I always want to respond, you know, it is just a game. It is just a game, okay? It's a little ball, all right? But some people just, frankly, have no patience. We've all been there. They say that patience is the art of concealing our impatience. In other words, when you feel like you got smoke coming out of your ears, most of the people that know us well, they can look at us and tell that we're irritated, even if we say nothing. Why are you mad? I'm not mad. Yes, you are. Yeah, I am. But they can tell, right? So I would personally add to that, if patience is the art of concealing our impatience, it's really the art actually more of learning from our impatience. In other words, it would go like this. Truly patient people are not just born that way. It's true, we have different dispositions. Really patient people are patient because they've practiced. They've learned from the times that they were not patient, so that when they are put in a situation where their patience is again tested, they've learned, okay, 6 months ago I was in this situation. What did I learn from this? So that when they're in that situation again, they control it. That's called prudence. You know, years ago, my buddy of mine was dropping me off at the airport, and he pulls up, and as we were on our way to the airport, I was telling him, I said, John, airports are a great opportunity for me to grow in patience, because they've lost my luggage 7 times. Flight delays, maybe you know the experience of being on a seat and somebody kicks the back of your chair. That's delightful. And then I've had 2 times that people have fallen asleep on my shoulder. That's awkward, especially when you have a collar on. Yes, there's drool. I know you're thinking it. Okay. But, you know, so I was telling him this. I said, you know, it's a good opportunity for me to grow in patience. And I get out, he shakes my hand, he said, have a good flight, Father. I hope they lose your luggage. I said, well, thanks, I think, right? It's an opportunity. Those of you that eat out, please, if you remember nothing today, please be nice to your waiter. There's an occupation that tests your patience. All right? If people only heard what waiters say in the back of the restaurant. By the way, if you want to lose weight, work in restaurants, because the last thing you want to do is eat. I mean, this is I hear this a lot from my waiter friends. People will come in, they get one entree, they split it 3 ways. They don't want anything on the menu, they want their own menu. They want the sauce on the side, the dressing on the side, and my personal favorite, the waiter comes to take the order, and nobody's looked at the menu. Can I take your order, please? Everybody looks down at the menu. That's okay, I'll be back in 5 minutes. They go away. They come back in 5 minutes. Can I take your order? They still haven't looked. And then they'll leave $1 for a tip, right? No matter who we are, we have an opportunity to grow in patience. But patience is really the art of learning from our impatience. the mistakes that we have made. Those of you that are parents, I'm not telling you, you don't know. You have a child who's teething, having a temper tantrum, or colicky. You're trying to get out the door, you're late, your first grader can't find his shoe. You're in line in the drop-off pickup line, somebody cuts you off in traffic. Cuts right in. And then later on, you're going to on Christmas morning, your spouse is driving, and your spouse's driving is driving you crazy. We each have these opportunities, don't we, to grow in patience. St. Paul talks a lot about this, by the way. You know that reading from 1 Corinthians that we hear at every single wedding? You know that? Love is what? Patient, love is kind. It is not pompous. Every wedding. Sorry, St. Paul, sorry. But it's true, love is patient. So if we're dealing with a temper tantrum from a 2-year-old, or you're dealing with an elderly parent who's having memory issues, who repeats the same thing multiple times a day, love is patient. Love is kind. It's not pompous. It's not arrogant. And let's be honest, shall we? Let's just, as they would say, throw the snake on the table. God has been pretty darn patient with us. I mean, have you ever said this? Lord, I promise to never do blank again. And 2 weeks later, we're doing blank. Or one of the things that we see a lot as priests, people have a crisis moment, they run to God, and they're faithful for about 3 weeks. When everything gets back to normal, then we can just kind of kick that can called God and going to church down the road. And then about 2 years later, we have another crisis moment, so we're in. And then about 3 weeks later, we kind of forget about God because everything's going fine. He's been pretty darn patient. And let's be honest, the people in our life are pretty patient with us. How do we grow in patience when we often feel like we have none? Well, we learn. So just, if you permit me, a few humble suggestions from one who's himself working on this. Trust me, I'm not the oracle of patience. Number one, learn to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. What does that mean? Deliberately put yourself in situations with people that irritate the you-know-what out of you. Okay? I'm sure you know nobody like that. All right? Be with them. And listen to them. Ask them questions. Things that interest them, not you, them. Trust me, it's like practicing. It's like playing an instrument, practicing a language. The more you do it, the easier it gets. Number two, laugh. A sense of humor goes a long way to defuse tense situations. A lot of times we will lose our temper over things that are silly. They don't matter. Number three, learn. So if you permit me, I just want to ask all of us a question, if you permit me. So be patient with me, okay? When was the last time that you lost it? That you lost your cool? If I was going to ask your spouse that question, what would they tell me? What time is it, Father? I can tell you when it was for me. It was yesterday. I was leaving the church, driving down Summer Avenue. A guy was texting. He was steering with his knees, ran a red light. It's a good thing you couldn't record that conversation, I'm telling you. So when was the last time that you lost it? This is why I'm asking that question. I'm not trying to make you feel bad. What I'm trying to say is why? Why did you lose it? Okay? Did we make a big deal out of things that don't matter? A person that doesn't matter? Okay? Because I guarantee you a month from now, you're going to be in the same situation. Maybe not with the same people. But that's how we grow. And that's called prudence. I'll close with this. So, In the 15th century, we had a pope in the Catholic Church. His name was Pope Sixtus IV. And he built this little thing we call the Sistine Chapel at the Vatican. That's why they call it the Sistine Chapel, because his name was Sixtus. All right? So a few years after that, his successor was a guy named Pope Julius II. He was a very difficult, irate, temperamental man. And he called the artist Michaelangelo, and he said, "Hey, Michael, I want you to paint the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel." Michaelangelo, who's only 31 years old at the time, another irate Italian, he said, "Nope. Nope." He said, "I know you." And he said, the Pope, who's not used to people telling him no, he said, "Why?" He said, "I'll tell you why." He said, "Number one, I'm a sculptor, not a painter. Number two, by the way, Pope, I'm over here building your tomb." He was sculpting Pope Julius's tomb, which he had previously asked him to do. And the Pope said, "Put that aside, come over and do this." All right. Twists his arm, he comes. Little did Michelangelo know that he would end up spending over 10 years of his life painting the ceiling and painting the far wall above the altar, the final judgment based on Matthew chapter 25, the creation of mankind. 10 years of his life. Michelangelo had a lot of opportunities to lose his patience, and he did an awful lot. He had Pope Julius breathing over his shoulder, micromanaging, other cardinals and bishops that were very angry that Michelangelo painted Adam and Eve nude. They didn't like that. He had mold on some of the things that he had put up, so he had to tear it down and restart. Anybody know what the word fresco means? What does the word fresco mean? Art historians here. It means literally fresh. It's fresh. You put up plaster, you have to paint it immediately before it dries. It's kind of like when you're a kid and you go put your hands in concrete and it seals it in there. That's what happened. So you had to paint it fresh. Plaster, paint, plaster, paint. Add to that, for almost 10 years, Michelangelo is in this position. Contrary to popular belief, he was not on his back. He was standing up in this position. You have any idea what that will do to your back over 10 years? This is why I'm telling you this story. Michelangelo's biographers say that the Michelangelo that finished the project and the Michelangelo that started the project were two totally different people. When he started it at the age of 31, he was very irate, would lose his temper. They said years later, as an older man, more mature man, wiser man, calm. It's calm. Those of you that are my age and older, would you agree that things that used to bother us years ago just don't bother us anymore? Why did I get so upset about that? Because you're wiser now. Patience is not only the art of learning, of concealing our impatience, it's the art of learning from our impatience. And I can guarantee you, brothers and sisters, we are going to be tested again in the future.